Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Surviving Reelfoot Season 9 Bluff Ranch cast assessment. And we're going to talk about day one. It's going to be a party. Joining me, first of all, a Reelfoot alumni like myself, but don't talk about me as a Reelfoot alumni. I don't want to talk about it. It's Christen. Christen, how are you doing? You muted yourself. You muted yourself and we're not even 10 seconds in. How did you mute yourself, Christen? Oh, your mic has disconnected. Okay, hang on. Your mic disconnected. We're gonna jump to production. Christen, you get back to us in just a second, all right? No, you gotta leave the thing and come back. I literally think that was just her headphones died right at that moment. Reelfoot production team, we have Pete, we have Amos, we have Parker. How are you guys doing? Day one. How's it going?
Good. We're tired, but we're having fun.
Yeah.
Very excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
I'm excited to have you guys too. It's been a long time since I've seen most of you, and I'm so excited that we get to do this. Christen, talk to me.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can. It's all good.
Okay. I was doing good, and now that my microphone's cut off, even though it's been working all day, I'm like super nervous now, but it'll be fine.
It's okay. I would never intentionally mute you, Christen. We're so glad you're here. We're going to talk about not only the cast that has been announced today, but we're also going to talk about how day one is going with you guys at Reelfoot. So first of all, guys, talk to me about Bluff Ranch. Where does the name Bluff Ranch come from? What is that kind of like for you guys? Where's the origins of that coming from?
Bluff Ranch is actually the name of the property that we're on. It's a beautiful ranch that we've rented, leased, whatever, for this week. So we just kind of went with that as the name, just because it was a new location. We wanted to emphasize on that because we've never had a location like this before. We're super excited to be here. That's where the name came from.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's a 300-acre farm in far western Tennessee, about 10 miles from Reelfoot Lake. It's actually the closest we've ever been to Reelfoot Lake since it's in our name. And it's a beautiful property. It has a very large 8-acre pond/lake. It has a beautiful lodge on it that we're using for production. And then the sites are phenomenal. They're very far. We warned them they'd have to walk a long way. One site's probably just a hair under a mile away from us, and the other one's probably about a half a mile away from us.
Oh my gosh. And
they're getting a workout.
Yes, there you go. Look, if you didn't come to the woods to lose a little bit of weight, I don't know what you were doing. Clark is here to say, love everybody in this video. Looks like a great cast and a great start to the season. I couldn't agree more. Let's get to talking about who we have. So first up, we have the Carlton tribe, and we have Amanda. Production, talk to me about Amanda. What is the reason you cast Amanda on this season?
Amanda was one of one of our favorite applicants. She just was charismatic. She was bubbly. She had a lot of personality. She's somebody that I know from the online community, but I've never actually interacted with her. So her interview was the first interaction I had with her, and I just fell in love with her. So like the moment she started talking, I was like, I would love this woman. I want her. So like for me, it was a no-brainer to cast Amanda. I don't know about y'all.
No, absolutely. Amanda was a no-brainer. You always want. It's always great to see strong women representation in these games, and Amanda fits that bill to a T. She's also a lot more athletic than you would think. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell from watching the videos, like she's a little bit shorter than the rest of the cast, but that doesn't mean anything. She hikes, she camps, she does bike rides. She's very fit despite her size. And just like Amos says, she just had a bright, bubbly personality. This woman is huge Survivor fans. She nicknamed her son Ozzy for crying out loud.
Oh
He's
God.
really excited to be here, and I think she'll bring a lot to the game.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I actually was in on Amanda's first interview, and the guy started telling me about her and really wanted me to meet her. And the second that I got to go on and meet her in the second interview, she is just one of those characters that captures you. And they were 100% right. She's just a very strong woman cast member. I've met her for the first time and here, and she really does just have an energy about her. And so watch Amanda. Her energy, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
It is infectious. And I could see Amanda going really deep in this game. She has the energy that I think they're going to pull off of, and they're going to need her actually.
She's very good for morale. She's very upbeat. She's very, almost like the tribe cheerleader in a way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say she has the ability to go deep, like Pete said, because she is just so likable. I could see that being a target because people might not want to take her to the end. But for right now, in the beginning stage of the game we're at, I don't think it would be smart at all, just from a tribe standpoint, to vote out Amanda.
Yeah.
Of course, we're not seeing her game right now. We're really staying away from their camps and letting them do their thing today. But if she gets her foot in the door, you better watch out.
Oh,
Mhm.
sure.
Absolutely.
And I think that with Amanda being a teacher, I feel like you should always be looking at teachers in live reality games because they're so good at coordinating groups of people, being very, very friendly, and getting to know people. They're really good at stuff like that. So especially fourth graders, oh my gosh, could you imagine the patience she must have? So I feel like I'm really excited to see Amanda. And when you come from the org world, I think you have a little bit of you want to play really cutthroat, but at the very least, kind of how to play the game in a way that I think some people who are total newbies wouldn't have necessarily the experience with. Christen, what do you think of Amanda?
So just based off of the 2-minute video that I saw, because I've never met Amanda in my life, so this is literally all I know about her. I actually took notes on all the players just so I sort of have something about everybody. And I wrote that she does seem like a super inviting and warm personality, which I think is going to really fare well for her early on. I think the question for her is going to be when it gets to like the later portions of the game where agendas start clashing, is she like more of a dominant personality in the game? Is she going to try to like push her agenda? Or is she going to be somebody who like sort of backs off a little? And if she does turn out to be a little more aggressive, how is that going to like translate to her tribe? And so that's like sort of what I picked up on her. And I'm really excited to see her play because I think she's going to play the game hard no matter how the tribe, I guess, receives her. So I'm really excited to see her.
I think with Amanda, like as much as I love her personality, I think she's got to keep it in check because she's so out there and bubbly and got that big personality, but she also has to learn to tame that too, because if she gets out there and starts being a little too bossy and being the one that's more outspoken,
the teacher in her comes out.
Yeah, so where she's used to managing multiple groups of people, that's the one flaw I could see Amanda having.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I would know nothing about being too bossy in Reelfoot, but I can only imagine it would be bad. And up next we have Justin. So I am familiar with Justin. Justin's played Survival Challenge. He is really fun, really, really smart, and very, very passionate about playing Survivor. So guys, I'm sure I could tell you exactly why you cast Justin, but tell me in your own words why you cast Justin.
Well, it's funny because Justin was, I believe, the last person we interviewed. And we thought we had our cast in we didn't have our cast, but we had our minds kind of set on people. And he was, I think, our very last interview in December. And we all hung up and said, yeah, we've got to have that guy. I mean, he really impressed us because honestly, my mind was already made up. And then I met Justin. And he's a character. He does have the passion. I'm really anxious to watch him play. I've recently met Justin in the org world after we cast him.
Oh, that's fun.
And so that was odd because I did not know of him before then. And he's going to be a character to watch. He's definitely got that little bulldog mentality. He kind of struts in and he's checking it out. He's looking left. He's looking right. He may not be talking the most, but he is checking everybody out.
Oh yeah. Kind of to what Pete said. This is just my personal opinion. I can't speak for how other LIG hosts and production members do this. In my opinion, I think a lot of people you'll actually find, a lot of players when they apply these games think it's actually better to apply near the end of the cycle because they think, oh, I'll be fresh in production's mind. I actually think it's exactly the opposite. I actually think it's a little bit better to apply earlier on because by then, no, we haven't made our casts and our minds up, but we've had time to think about how this person will play this game and how they can interact with this personality and will they clash with that person. Again, it's not a horrible thing to apply near the end. I just think of the two, it might be, in my opinion, a little advantageous to apply near the start of applications. Get your foot in the door, be one of the first few people. So exactly what Pete said. For Justin, for me to have that opinion and for Justin to be one of, if not the last interview we did, and he's in this cast, that says a lot about the impression he made on all three of us. It was a no-brainer when we interviewed Justin. Like Pete said, I think just so far going off of what I've seen today, because I've never met Justin until today. I've met a few of these people, but most of them I haven't. Justin I haven't met. He has been very observant. He is I can tell the wheels are spinning every time I'm looking at him. He's trying to make sure he's talking, but not too much. And he's definitely observing the room. So I think Justin has absolutely what it takes to go deep in this game. And I think he'll be a very solid Alliance member.
Mm-hmm.
So my opinion on Justin is, honestly, when we started doing, we had so many good applicants that I had already picked out what I thought our cast would look like. And I almost really had counted him out as being that last person to apply. I almost thought this is like almost a pity interview because we just needed to interview all the applicants. And then he came in and blew it away, which is what I love. I love when I count somebody out or I don't expect them to do well and then they blow it away. So as soon as that interview ended, it was like, I don't know how we could do it without Justin. So like, it's very rare for somebody to come in and be one of the last 2 or 3 interviewees, I guess is what you call it. And blow us away to the point where we push other people that we had thought we were going to cast out for that person.
Justin broke somebody's heart. We don't know who, but he broke somebody's heart. Okay.
Uh-oh. Well, I really like Justin. Also, Alex Wagner is here to say all of my favorite people in on one call. Naomi, tell the Reelfoot production that their fave winner says hi, which I think is weird because Lance isn't here, but okay, Alex. And then do I have the ability to fly in for the finale and pass my crown? I think you'd have to buy your own ticket, Alex. But Christen, I want to know what you think of Justin. Are you familiar with Justin?
So when I first saw the cast, I recognized Justin from Survival Challenge, and I'm really close to somebody in Survival Challenge named Travis. So the first thing I did was message him, and I asked him, like, hey, who's this Justin guy? Like, what do I need to know about him? And then also I watched his video, and my impression of Justin is that he's going to be really good at reeling people in at the beginning. I think that he is going to be loyal to an alliance. I think he's going to want to build like a super strong alliance. I think some people play a little more fluid. Some people play off of alliances. I think he really wants a strong alliance, but I think he's also going to suffer during the merge with like big threat itis. I think that people are going to see him as a threat later on. And I think because of that, his best bet is to align with other strong players who could sort of be seen as a bigger threat ahead of himself. But aside from that, I think he has a good mind for the game. He seems super observant, though the wheels are always turning, and I hope that we can see him deliver because Travis hyped him up, so hopefully he lives up to that hype.
I guarantee you he has an alliance right now.
Oh,
that's
good
very
to know.
I don't know that.
You don't know, but you bet money on it.
Oh,
Well,
I thought you were like actually like filling me in on that. Okay, yeah.
So, guys, I'm dying to know about Kenny. Tell me about Kenny, a merchandiser from Boise, Idaho. Taking a trip all the way from Idaho to Tennessee. What do we have to know about Kenny?
Well, Kenny, it's actually funny that Christen is on this call because Kenny actually comes to us from Christen's former Reelfoot Alliance member Dave Parnell. Kenny is real life friends with Parnell and Steve, aka Gouda. And Parnell, after finished playing season 7, he was like, Kenny, he knows Kenny IRL. They have, little Survivor games, but just between friends, And he's like, Kenny,
fun.
this is a real deal. You got to do this. And Kenny applied, and he was fantastic in his interview. Kenny is just a very personable person, even though we were on a video call, which is obviously not the same as being face to face. There's some disconnection. I felt like Kenny was just so welcoming, and he was just so genuine about what he wanted to get out of this game and how he was going to play this game. And I'm just really glad he's here. And it's funny because I think he could kind of almost be a mix between Gouda and Parnell in a way. I think he can bring the physicality of Parnell, but the social game of Gouda. We'll see how it goes. But it's kind of funny that he's friends with those two because he really does remind me a lot of them.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that just because you're friends with somebody, you still got to earn your way into Reelfoot.
Yes. Absolutely. Parnell recommended Kenny apply. It wasn't like a guarantee.
He did his interview, and first off, I love dogs, and he did his interview with this dog. And he played with this dog the whole time, and I was like, normally I'd be like, this is not how you do an interview, but the way he was able to interact with us on the dog at the same time, loved it. But he smiles all the time. He never stops.
100%. That's what I was going to say.
Never stops. Like,
oh my gosh! Except for this photo.
Yeah, this photo is not how you would see Kenny in real life.
No.
He was smiling the whole time, which he's got that smile and that personality that like radiates positivity almost.
Yes.
So he's somebody that I think when we sat down and made the cast, we made a list. And when we were comparing lists on who we wanted to cast, Kenny was on all of our lists. He's just somebody that almost radiates a golden boy type persona. So he's definitely somebody that I wanted to cast from the moment I met him. Super excited that I got to meet him today. I'm super excited to see how he's going to do and how he fits in with this group. But yeah, I can't really say enough nice things about Kenny.
Okay, I'm going out on a limb. Kenny smiles all the time, but I think he has the ability to be a villain.
Woo!
And I think that so he is going to draw you in with that smile and stab you in the back with the knife he's got in his other hand. I think he's going to be a fun character to watch. I have got to ride home with him yesterday. I picked him up at the airport, and he is really good. He's funny. I watched him today with the cast, and one thing I noticed about Kenny today, just me standing back and observing, he worked the room. He worked the room, and I like that about him.
Yep.
But I'm just going to go on a limb and say Kenny could be a little villain this season.
I want to piggyback off of that because I'm glad he brought, because that's actually kind of how I felt about Amanda. I think Amanda has the potential. I think she'll be very likable, but I think she's so likable, people will be caught off guard, and I think she'll be ready to get business done. And I think that's exactly how Kenny will be. I think people won't see it coming. I think people will underestimate Kenny because he is just that nice guy. And I think before they know it, Kenny will be their demise. I really think there's a chance Kenny could play a really hard game.
I'm so excited.
Nice guy. Don't do that. Don't break my heart and make Kenny the bad guy.
And Christen, what do you think of Kenny?
So, like I said, the only thing that I've seen of him is the intro video. And one thing that actually really stood out to me, because one of the production members asked him, like, what are you the most excited about to play? And he said, I'm most excited to watch how other people play, which I think is actually going to be really beneficial to him, because I think in Survivor, it's so easy to get caught up in your own story, to get caught up in your own head on like how you perceive things are going to happen. And I think for someone like Kenny to say that he's excited to see how other people play, it proves that he's going to be watching people and observing people. So yes, he's going to also be working the room, but he's also going to be like watching and calculating. And I think he's going to be a lot more calculating than people are going to assume. But one thing that is a little interesting is that he said that he wanted to lay low at first, and I don't know what that means for him. So I'm interested to see what laying low means for him. Maybe it means just being social, or maybe it means letting other people come to him. So hopefully that means something that isn't him playing too slow. But I think if he can work the room at camp, like you guys said that he worked the room during like the pregame dinner or whatever it was, I think he'll do very, very well.
Yes, and Alex wants to know, has anyone from Idaho ever played before?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, Dave Parnell and Guna.
Okay.
Those might have been the only two.
Yeah.
I think Christen, you
Idaho
really hit the
getting
nail there. I'm going to say you really did a good job of I mean, I haven't watched their Make Me videos because I'm living it. I'm not watching it. But I really think you hit the nail on the head. He is very observant, and he does, I think, genuinely want to know how other people are playing. And I think that will be where the little villain side comes in. He's going to figure you out. But I don't know. I think he's going to do well. I'm going to say he's going to go far.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with Christen more. And I think that when I was playing, I remember that what I would do is I would just ask other people lots of questions about themselves. And if I noticed that somebody wasn't talking, I would prompt them to talk. And I would try and get everybody to talk about themselves so they would remember that I was the person who was interested in them. And if that's something Kenny's up to, especially if he's interested in how other people are playing, I think it could go really well for him. Now, I want to talk about Lydia. Look at Lydia. What a great photo. So, guys, tell me about Lydia, an optician from Cincinnati, Ohio. Where did y'all find Lydia?
I can start this one. So Lydia actually, kind of like Kenny, a previous alumni, Rob from season 8, said he had a great time. And he's like, hey, I think you should do this. This is a great experience. Lydia applied, and here she is now. Lydia is somebody who definitely surprised me in her interview, just based on her initial application. In her initial application, I'll be honest, I didn't think much of it. I thought it's like, okay, yeah, this will be a pleasant enough interview. And then when we did the interview, she was just very good at speaking her mind, and I think just relaying her thoughts really well about how she sees this game. She's definitely a strategist. I don't know if she would agree with this, but my perception is I think she is here for the game, wants to play the game, and I think she has what it takes to absolutely be a threat. I think because of, again, her size, people may underestimate her. They should not do that. And they also shouldn't underestimate her knowledge of the game. So I think she really has what it takes to be a good alliance member and make some moves. I think, unlike Kenny, where he could probably go back and forth, I think there is a good chance Lydia could be the villain, because I think she does want to play a game and she wants to walk away having made some blind sides. Let's say that. By the way, can you guys see my whole face? I know I'm on.
Yeah. You're all good.
We
can
can
see your beautiful face, Parker. Don't you worry. I'll tell you if we can't.
Yes, thank you. That's all I had about Lydia.
Yeah.
I'll say Lydia, she is here to play. She is passionate about this game. I think Lydia is probably the only person in the cast I think can play too hard, too fast, and go out early. Because everybody has the potential to do that, but I think she's going to come in and she's so focused on playing the game and playing hard and kind of almost making a name for herself in this game. I honestly think it's going to be a downfall. I hope she proves me wrong. I love when people prove me wrong, but I do think that she has the potential to go early. But she is an amazing. She's very upbeat. She's very into this game. She wants to be here. She's passionate. She's everything you want in a Survivor applicant and a Survivor player. I do think that that's going to be her downfall, and I hope she proves me wrong, and I hope Lydia goes far, because I love Lydia, but I do think she can play a little too hard, too fast.
And we have not discussed these at all, so this is the first time we're hearing from each other as well, and that's exactly how I feel. I watched her today, and I watched her outside once we were dividing the tribes up, and there was just something about Lydia that made me think, calm down. Back up, hold up, and y'all been there. Y'all know what I mean by that. Calm down a little bit, and because the first vote is going to be either the person that comes out the strongest or does nothing. If you could hide in the middle, and there's enough room in these tribes to hide in the middle right now, and Lydia was coming out too hard, too top, and that could get her. And I didn't even know Amos thought that, but that's what I thought.
And I fully agree. I said that opinion myself. I think Lydia does have the potential to play a little too hard, too fast, because this is definitely a woman who, yes, is definitely here to have a good experience and to, perhaps make some new friends. But I think she also is meaning business, and I think she wants to accomplish things. But I think with that said, I think if she can just, whether by an alliance member telling her that, she needs to slow down, or she herself maybe having that realization, I think if she can just calm the brakes or put on the brakes a little bit and just go with the flow for these first 2 rounds, I think she has a great shot at going deep. I think by then people will be charmed by her. And I think she has I think she has everything it takes to do very well in this game. Question is she going to allow herself to not, slam on the gas right out the gate? That's the question.
So Alex said something interesting. Lydia is my 4th place prediction. And with this, I want to ask you guys, do you think that Lydia is an Anessa type? Is Lydia the hardcore gamer? I'm here to play.
Not thought about that.
I think with Lydia, the difference between Lydia and Inessa is Inessa would. I know they make fun of the way I talk.
I like the way you say.
I loved it the whole time. I just forgot that that's how I should pronounce it the Reelfoot way, Inessa.
But the difference between Inessa and Lydia is, but I have like Pete said, we haven't really been out there a lot today. She was able to find people who could balance that.
Who?
Inessa was. She had Alex, who was very calm and very charming, and he was able to kind of maneuver in with people that she couldn't. Yep. And William was able to maneuver himself in with people that neither one of them, and then they brought all that together. Lydia's going to have to do that, I think. Otherwise, it might not work out for her as well as it did for Inessa.
Yeah,
I think you're wrong on that one, Alex. And I'll take a bad. I live a good bad.
Christen, what do you think? By the way, Trevor. Oh, hi, Brent. Speaking of Alliance members, hi, Brent. And Christen, Trevor says that you look cute, and I agree.
Thank you.
And Kirk, of course, has to say, well, I hope she wins that Final Four immunity. I know. I'm a Team Lydia fan so far, Kirk. Christen, what do you think of Lydia?
It is so weird hearing production's opinions on her because, again, I only saw the 2-minute video, and I did not take her for the too hard, too fast type at all, just based off of that first impression. But I did write down that I think that she's going to struggle with groups, and I think that in order for her to get far, I think she needs to have really strong connections. So I think if she can find the strong people in her tribe or suck up to them, I think that's actually her best bet. And I think if she can do that, I think people will eventually start to underestimate her, and she can get far. But the question for her is going to be, can she do that, or is her anxiousness, like production talked about, going to, I guess, make her clam up and get voted out early? So
yeah.
I hope she proves me wrong. I love when players prove me wrong. If I don't when I have an opinion about there's no way this person's going to do well. I love when they prove me wrong and do well. Yeah, so Lydia, you get it, girl.
You thought Jumi would be the first out.
I sure did. She won the whole.
I'm rooting for Lydia.
Yes. All right, we're Team Lydia, baby. All right.
Team Lydia.
So we have Mike, a store manager from Denver, Colorado. So I want to know about Mike. If he's from Colorado, is he an outdoorsy guy? Is he going to be able to weather these elements like nobody else? What's Mike's deal?
Yeah, Mike's the real deal, in my opinion. Mike is very good in the outdoors. He has studied this game. He could be, in my book, one of the top 3 passionate. They all are passionate. Yes. We have got a passionate cast. It is absolutely crazy. But Mike is eating and breathing this game, and that could go far, and it could kill him, just like we know it could all of us. I would hope maybe Lydia would hook up with Mike, and I think I could see them as a working pair. I'm not for sure. I can see that. But Mike's passion is over the top. He is not coming out hard. I watched him today. He is smooth, and he's even, and he's working it. And I saw him whispering to a few people, which they all did. But Yeah, I think Mike's the real deal, and I'm pushing, and I'm thinking that he will go deep in the game.
What was the name of that game that you and Mike played? So
Mike and I played in Jordan's Pirate game years ago.
Yes.
And,
I was just going to say, so I got the name right. Mike is one of the few people here who have played a live reality game before this.
Okay.
He's played at least what I know of. He played the one with Pete, and he also played Travis Rindler's Home for the Holidays, which is a Big Brother style game. Mike is, a lot of what Pete said. I think Mike is already impressing me, and I was already very impressed by Mike. I when we were going through the cast, Mike was just another one that I think was on all of our lists to get on. But the vibe I got from Mike was, like Pete said, he is so passionate about this game, and he is investing so much energy into this. And I was afraid that coming in today that he would slam the gas a little bit, go a little too hard. He's impressed me so much already. He was a little bit quieter, not so quiet he wasn't talking, but he wasn't the one controlling the conversation. He was being the middleman in the sense. He was talking a lot, but he was also doing a lot of observing and seeing who else was talking to who. And I think if Mike can control the passion if Mike can keep on this trajectory of controlling his passion and turn it on in the later stages of the game, I think he is set up for a very long run at this game.
yes, Mike came to win. I'm assuming to cut you off.
Yes.
They all came to win, but Mike really came to win. I don't know how it's going to fare out for him, but
Let me tell you how into this game he is. Mike left his wife on their 5th anniversary to come and play Reelfoot.
Oh my gosh.
with 2 children.
He's got a 10-month-old and a 3-year-old. He left her on
Oh
their
my
5-year
gosh.
anniversary with 2 kids at home to come and play this game. Mike likes to talk a lot, which could, once he gets comfortable with people, be his downfall because he does talk a lot and he tends to ramble a lot. But Mike is just awesome. Everything he says, you just want to listen to because he's got this something about Mike draws you in and you can't get away from it, no matter how much he talks. Yeah, he's very smooth. No matter how much he talks and no matter how much he rambles, you want to hear, you want to listen, you want to hang on to every word he's saying, which is good because that's what you have to have in this game. You have to have people that want to be with you, and you have to have people that, no matter how much you talk, are going to want to listen to what you're saying and not get annoyed by how much you're talking. Like, Mike is just an all-around awesome person, and I'm super excited to see him play because I know how much it means to him.
Yeah, and I think so. So Kirk says, first of all, lots of amazing alumni in the chat giving us their opinions, which I love so much. He will get super intense if he gets deep enough. And this was my fear with Mike, is that somebody who cares very deeply about the game, there reaches a certain point where you can see the end game in sight, and you might sort of be so focused on yourself that you can't focus on the people that you're playing with, and it might get you voted out. And so that's my big concern for Mike. I think he is probably, as like an athletic guy, pretty set for at least a swap or maybe even the merge. And so I want him to do well, but I don't want him to lose sight of how everybody else playing is also here to win the game, you know? Christen, what do you think? Good old Mike.
So I actually watched Home for the Holidays. Like, I was like a very intense live streamer. I watched all of like the confessionals. I watched all of the live streams, and every sentiment that you guys shared about him sort of like being really like smooth and sly, that's exactly how he played, especially at the beginning of Home for the Holidays. He was able to network without necessarily looking like he was networking at first, but obviously it did come to a point to where like he became a super, super, super big threat. But I think because the game was like pretty recent, it was a couple of years ago, and I think when you make a mistake like that once, I think that if you're really passionate about the game, you learn from it and you try to adjust your game from that. So I'm hoping if he gets to those later stages of the game, he'll remember what happened in his previous live game and he'll sort of tone it back, and hopefully he can adjust to like the very craziness that is the end of the game, because sometimes it does get unpredictable. But if he doesn't, I'll be very, very sad, because I think he would be very compelling if he made it to the end. So
awesome.
I want to say that a lot of people I've heard in this community throw around the term student of the game. I don't quite know exactly what that means, but if there was a student of this game, it would be Mike. Mike has gone back and thought about what he did right, what he did wrong, and he's a huge fan of the show. I think he could tell you every detail of every episode. But Mike is being so. I think that'll help him being so aware of the game and so passionate. I just want him. Like, if there was a student of the game, it'd be Mike. So I that's my opinion.
What Parker just said just concerned me, actually. I think he's right. I think he is a student of the game, and I'm a little afraid now that Parker has said that Mike might have what he calls his own outline in his head. And you all know this game can't be outlined.
Yep.
It's a fluid moving game. So I hope he hasn't come in with this tick, 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 tick list. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. Because the game may not let him do this, this, and this. So we'll see what happens.
You want to start
Right.
with Ronnie?
And
I'll start with Ronnie.
yeah, let's talk about Ronnie.
Ronnie is replacing me. I hate to tell you that.
I was gonna say, is Ronnie a friend of yours, Pete? It seems like a friend of Pete's.
I know Ronnie. We share. I'm a politician in my county. Ronnie's the same politician in his county, and Ronnie applied because he's heard me talk about this at conference, and people have been at round tables and they're asking me about this and how could I do this at 60 and blah blah blah. Well, Ronnie is 59, soon to be 60, and he called me when we started putting out applications. He said, "Do you think I could even apply?"
Wow.
And I said, "You better apply. You love the game." He loves the game just like I do. I love watching him. I think he came in as smooth as silk today. He is the old guy. He does have a target, just being old. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
He could be an early boot. I hate to say that. But he's also a social guy. And if you can get in with the right people, Ronnie will be loyal. He'll be a vote. He's a little nervous being the older guy, but I just said, play smooth. Just be you. And so I'm anxious to watch Ronnie because it's another 60-year-old playing, and he's not quite as old as I am. I'm still older than he is. So no one's replaced me yet. But, I'm tickled that Ronnie applied. And we were looking for a very diverse cast. We didn't want a cast of 25-year-olds, and Ronnie fit the mold. He's passionate. He knows the game, and he definitely helped make our diversity. And so I'm super excited to watch the old guy play.
Yep.
Yeah. Ronnie was somebody that I thought was really cool. He almost came across to me as somebody that wanted the experience more than the game. But I think that's what makes him so special, because Ronnie studied the game. So he wants this experience. He wants to experience the whole thing. So he studied this game. He knows what the game is. So not only is he getting this experience that he wanted, now he's playing the game that he's taught himself how to play. And I'm excited to see how he's taught himself, how he's going to be able to maneuver, and, did he take down the right notes? So I'm super excited to see him play.
Ronnie is somebody who's very endearing, just to listen to. And I know they are not the same person, but just from them having the same job, a lot of the good qualities Pete has fall through with Ronnie. I know Pete a lot more, obviously, but just the good qualities Pete has are the same as Ronnie in the context of how he will play this game. I think Ronnie, like Amos said, I think he really does want this experience, but I wouldn't count him out. I really think once he gets his footing and he sees how fun, I get the vibe he's a little tentative to do the backstabbing and the lying, because that's just not who Ronnie is as a person. He's very straightforward. But I think once he sees the game going, he will be more into it, like that aspect. Not that he doesn't want to play the game. He does. I think it's going to take an adjustment for him to be comfortable with the lying and the deceit, because that's just not what type of person he is. Go ahead.
I think he'll backstab more than we think he will.
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, after a while, I think he'll get used to it.
I want him to be the hero, just like me.
Pete's always the hero. And Alex has a good point. This is kind of what I was thinking, is that Ronnie seems like a type, if he can connect with a good group, he will go deep. Otherwise, he may be in trouble. And I actually, season 6, I didn't get to watch all of Lives News, but it kind of sounds like I played, an org with him. It sounds like Bobby a little bit, right? Of like, you really are drawn to him. You want to work with him. You feel like you can sort of trust him in a very deep way. And if somebody sees that as a very valuable asset, they could go pretty far with Ronnie. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong though, but that was my kind of impression of Ronnie.
He'll be loyal, but I think he studied the game enough that he understands that if he has to backstab,
Yes.
he will.
Right.
And I think as the game goes on, it'll be easier for him to do that because he'll see how the game is supposed to be played out. And unfortunately, games like Survivor and Reelfoot and all these other games, it's hard to play a loyal game and get to the end. And I think once he sees that, it'll be a little bit easier for him to play a little more strategic and a little more cutthroat.
Well, just to comment on that Bobby comparison, I think there's actually a lot of similarities. Ronnie is definitely going to use his knowledge of the outdoors and the area to his advantage. I think that will actually be his biggest selling point to the tribe and why they should keep him, which he's very good already in the outdoors, so it makes sense. But I think the big difference between Bobby and Ronnie is, again, I've watched 2 seasons of Bobby. I've just started watching Ronnie, so I could be wrong, but I just get the vibe already that Bobby is a very, like, love him or hate him type of person. I think Bobby would agree with himself. He comes off very strong. You really never have to wonder what Bobby's thinking or where he's at. Ronnie's a lot more of just that. Yeah. Ronnie's definitely more of that. Well, I'm going to go with the group and the flow and, let's keep the peace a little bit. He's very good at just being a part of the group. And another really interesting point that Ronnie made that no one else on this cast made in their interview was Ronnie is, I think he'll come across as more competitive than I think people are expecting. I don't know about the viewers, but I think he'll be more competitive than even his tribe mates are thinking, because Ronnie in his interview was the only person who said he is so loyal and competitive. He said he doesn't even know if he can throw a challenge if the opportunity came up. So I'm very interested in seeing if Ronnie will be able to adjust to the deceit and the lying aspect of the game, because I think he has so many good qualities to do well already, the social and the survival aspect. I'm just wondering, will Ronnie be able to tap into that, ability to play a little bit more of a cutthroat game? But I also just quickly wanted to say that I think really Ronnie is somebody who I think Pete is one of the few people I think could always overcome the age, target on his back, because that's just who Pete is. I think Ronnie has a great shot at overcoming the target on his back. Again, it will be hard. It was hard for Pete. And I would say Ronnie has an even better setup. I would say Ronnie has an even better setup than Pete, because Pete had a lot of early 20-somethings in his first season, and Ronnie has more of a spread out in terms of age, a little bit closer to him than Pete had. But I still think Ronnie will be able to make it through. But again, he very well could be taken out as an easy out. For that reason, it would suck. But I think he also could make it through that target. I'm hoping he can.
It would break my heart because he wants it so bad. It would break my heart if he went out.
Watch him in the challenges.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll leave it there. Watch him in the challenges.
So, Christen, what do you think of Ronnie?
I shared every single sentiment that the others shared. I think that his tribe is going to underestimate him from a strategic standpoint.
Yes.
And when you're nice and you don't seem like a villain, that's like the perfect recipe for being pulled into an alliance. And so I think when he's pulled into an alliance, or if he's pulled into an alliance early on, I don't think he's going to have to backstab for a while, because I think people are going to see his value as an alliance member, and he's going to be able to ride that out for a while. But obviously, like, as the later stages of the game come, you do have to have that killer instinct. And I think that while he's competitive, you don't know how emotionally attached you're going to get to people until you're out there, until you've slept in the mud, until you've lost challenges together, been in tribals together. And so I'm interested to see if that emotional attachment aspect is something that affects him strongly. And if it does, he might have trouble with that killer instinct. But if he can catch on to the game quick, and if he doesn't get too attached to people, I'm agreeing in that I hope that he can cut people if he needs to cut people. So
yeah, I think he'll do it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, last note I had, just Ronnie's somebody, if he can just get in that alliance and make it past those first 2 or 3 votes, I think he can at least make it to the middle portion of this game and possibly the end game. He just really has to get past those first few votes. And then after that, I think at that point, the game will have been going on for so many rounds and so many days that people will not be looking at that easy, like, oh, he's older thing on his back. I think by then, the game will have been going on long enough. People will be looking at alliances and threats. So I'm hoping that Ronnie can get past those first few votes.
And I think that something we don't talk about enough is how important it is to sort of know how to survive in the wilderness, especially when you're out there for a short amount of time. You really rely on the people who know what they're doing. And if Ronnie does have a little bit more of a base of knowledge, I feel like that could be very valuable and very helpful to him in a lot of ways where, you want the person who can make fire over the person who can't, but we're moving on. We have Sarah, a mental health therapist from Boston, MA, a Yankee, as you guys would say. But guys, listen, every time I talk to O'Rear, he's like, oh, the Yankees. And I'm like, wait, the sports? And he's, no. He just means up north. And I always forget. So guys, talk to me about Sarah. I'm already a huge Sarah fan, but let's learn a little bit more about her.
I don't know if you would call it mixed feelings, but that's what I'm going to call it. I have mixed feelings with Sarah because I love Sarah. Sarah's one of my favorites. She was one of my favorites from the time we interviewed her. She didn't have the biggest personality, but something about Sarah I just loved. You can ask them. Like I think she was one of my favorites. But I think that there's something also about Sarah that I have mixed feelings about. Her tribe could have those same mixed feelings about, where I love her, but I think at the same time she has this ability to make you question her and what is she thinking? Because she always looks like she's thinking.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And she's smart, and so she's always thinking. So she always, as much as she draws you in, she makes you wary of her. She comes across as threatening. She comes across as just a strong female, which a lot of times is intimidating to other females that play the game. But I love her, and I hope she does well. She's definitely one of my picks to go far. But I can see where people are like, her wheels are turning. Something's going on in that mind, and I don't know what it is, and I can't read her. She's hard to read.
Yes.
But I love her. I love her.
Sarah is somebody who I didn't know much about. She is very new to the community. I think when she applied, she said she'd only played 2 orgs before that, and in the very first org she ever played, she won. I always, Amos, I think, would agree, and Pete would too, that whenever these orgers play these live reality games, I think it always goes one of 2 ways for the most part. I think they either really adapt because they have a basis of strategy and that social aspect to a degree, as much as you can through messaging. But I also think it can fall on the opposite end, where they get a little bit too much in their own head, and they don't realize that, behind the computer, you can get a little bit more away with talking strategy nonstop. You both have played this game. What? Okay. Sorry.
No,
yeah, I know.
No.
Yeah. You both have played this game. It's very long, a lot of downtime, a lot of time to make those social connections. I think some orgers generally have a hard time of making that transition from behind the computer to in person, because there is a lot more downtime and there's a lot more elements to rely on, challenges and camp life and these activities. So I'm not saying that Sarah's going to fall in the latter category. I just think it's interesting anytime someone is coming from a purely org standpoint when they make these transitions. And I'm curious to see which end Sarah falls on, because I'm kind of with Amos. I can see it going both ways. I'm a big Sarah fan. I'm a fan of all these people, but I am a Sarah fan. And I really do think she has what it takes to adapt and do as well as she did in that first org she played. Like Amos said, she's good socially. With her job, she's a great listener. And people are attracted to that. But at the same time, because she experienced success so early on in her gaming career, if you want to call it, I hope she doesn't get too ahead of herself and she's open to finding improvements on what she could do better. So that I hope that for Sarah, and I think she can.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, look at these women that's cast. I mean, do we just not have a great cast of women?
Yeah.
You've got more. They're just getting stronger and stronger. My only concern about Sarah is what they've already said. In an org, no one knows who you're talking to. No one knows who you're walking off with. And no one knows who you're aligning with. You can't hide that way in the live game. Everybody sees who she's talking to. Sarah comes off to me just real quick as a little feisty thing, and I watched her today, but she can't hide in a live game, and so she's got to figure that out. There's no hiding, and So I'm not for sure how Sarah's going to do. I'm a big Sarah fan too. I'm a fan of all these guys and gals. But anyway, I'm just super excited over this whole cast.
I am too, and I think that what you guys mentioned about orgs is really truthful, and I think that's something that was a big problem for me to understand coming into a game like Reelfoot, is that you just also want people to like being around you, and sometimes it's very hard to come from a world where Survivor is really quick and day long, or online, and understand how to just get people to like hanging out with you to the point where they don't want to vote you out to get you out of camp. And so I think that for Sarah, it's not necessarily that she's not likable, but she has to make sure that she's well ingratiated into the group of people, which is something that is not typically something that orgs don't really sort of highlight, I think, as much as a game like Reelfoot really does.
She's super likable.
Oh,
She comes across as intimidating
Yeah.
at times, which especially because y'all know being females that's played these games, that intimidates other females when you have a strong female presence.
She'll be in trouble with the ladies before she will the men.
Yeah,
Christen,
her issue won't be the likability. It will be just the fact that people realize she is a threat. I don't think she can hide her threat level.
Yeah, they're going to target her because she has beautiful skin. This is a lovely photo. Christen, what do you think of Sarah?
So Sarah does seem like super smart and super logical. One thing I noticed from her intro video is that she speaks very linearly. It's very easy to follow her train of thought. And I know for someone like me, when I play games, I like to work with people like that because I like to know that someone isn't all over the place. I like to know that they have a very logical headspace. And so if there are people on her tribe that are like me in that sense, I could actually see her finding alliances. I think my question for her is, because like she's played orgs and it can get very chaotic, but at least for orgs, when it does get chaotic, you can reread the text, you can sort of organize things in your head more. I wonder if she's going to be able to organize the chaos in her head as the game progresses, because if she can't, I can see her getting like drowned out for some reason. That's just like a hunch read that I have on her. I don't know if it's correct, but that's sort of my thoughts on her.
It's a great point, Christen, really. And I think that's exactly what it is, right? Is that you can log off, you can go away, you can walk away from your computer for a second and gather your thoughts. And here, you just don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
But speaking of orgs, somebody, Christen, we've both played an org with. One of my absolute dudes, it's Shane from Atlanta, Georgia. I love Shane so much. I can't wait to hear why you guys have him on this cast. But I mean, I know why. He rules. But tell me in your own words.
So Shane is another one, just like Kenny. Shane, I don't think has stopped smiling since his interview, since he's gotten here. But don't let it fool you, because unlike Kenny, Shane has these eyes that'll pierce your soul. And he will smile and the whole time be thinking, I can't wait to vote you out. Shane was our next to last. It was Shane and then Justin. We interviewed them. We entered them both back to back
on the same night.
That's so funny.
We interviewed both of them back to back. We had already counted them out. I don't think any of us intended on them even being good or being on the cast.
No, our expectations were nothing.
Hurry up and get this over with.
I know.
I meant the interview.
Oh.
I meant the interviews.
After we hung up, we were like, I think Pete his exact words were, "If we don't cast this guy, we're going to miss the boat."
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we interviewed Justin.
Yeah.
So both of them blew us away the last interviews, which is very rare for anybody to do in these kind of games because you've already got your mindset. Shane is somebody that I think is going to be. I don't think there's any way Shane's not going to be a villain. I would love to see him try to play a heroic game, but I really don't.
I think he has it in him.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe y'all played with him. Maybe y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I really feel like Shane's the kind of person that his smile will draw you in just enough. Like, like those little fish down in the ocean with a little dangly light, but it draws you in and he snaps you. I think that's what Shane is going to be.
I might follow that analogy up. That is a great analogy though for Shane. So unlike y'all, I have no background with Shane in the online world, My connection to Shane comes from, I never met him, but I actually watched his season of Live to Give, the only live game he's played. One of the few people on this cast who played a live game before. And that's Live to Give is different from Reelfoot in that it is just a weekend. It is a weekend and it's very fast paced. But Shane was also, and I mentioned this to him in his interview because these guys didn't see Shane's season, but there was a twist in that season where the top 2 or 3 donors basically were immune through the entire pre-merge, and Shane was one of them. So I saw Shane literally play as hard of a game as you can because he literally could not go home for like the first 2 days of the game. And what happened was he had intimidated people and he had come off as untrustworthy because he was playing so hard that he was the merge boot. And I asked him, Shane, obviously, right, you're not going to have immunity through the entire pre-merge, but what have you learned from that? And he just gave a solid, convinced me that he truly knows where he screwed up and what he needs to do better. So I think for Shane, already obviously having LRG experience helps, but just having the reputation he has, or not reputation, but having such a weird experience that he had, immune an entire pre-merge and getting to play literally as hard as possible, because he couldn't go home. Now coming into this game where it's an even playing field for everybody, I think he will take that experience and learn it. I think Shane could do very well. I could also see people being intimidated by him and thinking he's a threat. So I think that might be a target on his back. But I think Shane is at least good for those first few rounds.
Yeah. Christen, what do you think of Shane?
So when I played the mini with him, I only got to play 1 round with him and he got voted out. But here's the funny story about him. So everybody was telling me Shane's name and I had not met Shane at that point. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll vote Shane. And I remember when we got called in for the tribal council and we entered the room and Shane sees, he's like, oh, hey, Christen, I didn't get to meet you. It's so nice to meet you. The second he said that, my heart sank because he just reeled me in with his smile. And I was like, oh no, I really made a mistake here. So I really think even though he wants to be a villain, he's not going to seem that way. And so like Parker said, he did play super hard in Live to Give. And I've had conversations with him after the game, just talking about Survivor. I was like, what would you do different if you ever played again? And he sort of echoed what Parker said, and that he really wants to take the lessons of playing too hard and he really wants to dial it back. And so I really think in terms of his strategy that he's going to change his game for the better. But also he does seem super charming, and I wonder if that's going to get him into trouble at that point in the game where people start to look at, who are the social threats? Who are the people who could win a jury over? Because I think his impression is somebody who could win a jury over, and I think he could struggle because of that. So.
Yes, and I'll just say about Shane, I love him, and I was on a tribe with him. He and I were very close allies, and I think that what Shane has to his benefit is when you are working with Shane, you know that you're working with Shane because Shane is all in on you as a player and you as a participant in the alliance, and he makes you feel like you're so trusted and so worthy in the group that you're playing with. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him shine. It has been over an hour, so I'm gonna just go a little bit faster through this because you guys at some point have to get back to the whole, 18 people you have in the woods right now. So, but let's move on to Taylor.
And we just have a lot of opinions on these people, but
I know. They all seem amazing. Don't get me wrong. I genuinely cannot wait to watch this whole season unfurl. So let's talk about Taylor, a student / server from Indianapolis, Indiana. What is up with Taylor, guys?
Well, Taylor is, in my opinion, one of the more well-known from my past in the org world. I've played several games with Taylor, and we all know Taylor's a really good player, and she knows the elements of the game. She's played a house game. She won
Home for the
Holidays. But this is going to be a different environment for Taylor. I don't think she's fully ready for the environment we just threw her in. Guys, their camps are rugged. And y'all already heard us talk about the rattlesnake environment here, and it's the real deal. We're not just blowing smoke. I don't think that Taylor is going to do as well in this game as she typically does in an org or in a house game. I think she's going to be a little intimidated by the elements, and I may be wrong, and I hope I am. But that's just my take on Taylor. She's going to have a little bit harder time, and if she doesn't get a good footing, I'm a little worried that Taylor could be in trouble because she's a very confident lady, and she coming in with tons of confidence. But I think the elements are going to throw her for a curve. That's my take on it.
Absolutely. Taylor's somebody who comes with experience, has won a game like this, not Survivor, but Big Brother, pretty similar. And Pete absolutely nailed on the head. I think she has the experience down, very strong woman, knows what she's about. And that, again, may intimidate other people. But I also think that Taylor, the big question is, I think she's proven she has what it takes for the social and strategy aspect. How will she deal with the elements? Because I know sometimes we talk about, the elements don't matter in terms of, who goes far and, who can win based on the elements. But the elements really do play a factor. You both have been in this game. And I think if Taylor comes in a little intimidated, I think it could hurt her chances. So I'm hoping not, because very strong player, very excited to see her play. I'm just hoping she doesn't get in her own head with the elements.
Yeah, Taylor's a good player. I think if Taylor can get past this first night, and maybe a little bit into tomorrow, I think she'll be good. I think that's the only thing that's going to hold her back is her mental, capacity with the elements. Because I know that was one of her big concerns, was the elements. But I don't see her having a problem from a game standpoint.
No.
It's just the elements. And we've had people in the past that have had the same reservations that she's had, and they've come in and they've dominated. So I'm really hoping to see that from her.
Right.
Voting for Taylor, but the bugs out there are horrendous. Worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, Christen, what do you think of Taylor here? Are you as worried for her in this mosquito-laden world?
So I know Taylor. I've played probably like 5 to 10 games with her. Like I actually really know Taylor, and I know Amos and Pete and all of them were expressing their concern with her in the elements. I feel like that's the same concerns people had with me, but I was so passionate about the game that I pushed through it. I do think that being passionate about the game does help in a sense with the elements, because even if you have no outdoor experience, you really want to suck it up to like prove to yourself that you're strong enough. And I think Taylor will have that drive. I know in games that she tends to be super low key but super calculated, and I do agree if she can make it past the elements that she can make it far. But also I hope that because she plays low key, I hope that she works hard to make an alliance quick enough, because I know in orgs, like, it's a lot easier for alliances to come to you, but I do feel like sometimes when you are a little quieter in a live game, you do have to work a little harder to earn those alliances, and I hope that she can adjust to that as well. But I have a lot of faith that she can get past the elements. Right now, Taylor, I think you can do it. Please don't prove me wrong.
Yeah, and Taylor,
we're rooting for her.
Yeah, and she's one of the younger ones on this tribe, right? So I think that Taylor,
the youngest person in this game.
Right. So I think if Taylor brings that sort of youthful energy, it will be really good for her. But I think that if the elements take away from that sort of energy, it could be a little more dangerous. And we have Aaron. I don't know what happened with my hang on. I don't know why the Rutherford tribe got cut off, but thanks a lot, Google Docs. But we have the Rutherford tribe. And first off, we have my friend, Aaron Robertson. I'll just say I love Aaron. I play Mafia with him a lot. Aaron is such a beacon of personality and joy. And so for me, I'm super excited to see Aaron actually sort of really try in a game, especially a game as intense as this. You might know him as like a guy from RHAP. He's an RHAP podcaster. He does a lot of music for a lot of different things, a lot of wand-offs that I adore. But guys, talk to me about Aaron and why you have him on this year's cast.
Aaron and me actually go way back. I've known Aaron about 11 years.
Wow.
We actually played online games before Facebook was a thing, or before Facebook games were a thing. So we played like on Pro Boards, like in 2010. Like we were like teenagers. So I love Aaron. He's a really good friend of mine. I've been asking him to apply personally there's not a whole lot of people I'm like, will you please apply? And he's one of the few people that I've went to every single season and be like, I really want you to apply for this game. Every single season, he's like, either I don't think I can do it, or maybe I will, and he never applies. And he finally applied this season. So I definitely wanted him in this cast, especially because I've been trying since 2014 to get him to play Reelfoot. But I love Aaron. I love his infectious, bubbly personality. He's quirky. He's the epitome of positivity.
Yes.
I've seen him struggle recently. He just recently lost his dad.
Yep.
Right after actually he was cast. But he's somebody that I fought for. Really, I didn't have to fight hard, but he was somebody that I definitely wanted.
You were a supporter.
Yeah, I was definitely supportive of him. But yeah, so I'm really hoping he does well. I'm definitely rooting for him, especially after 7 years trying to get him to play. So I'm definitely rooting for him. I hope he does well.
I have a lot I can say about Aaron. I have a lot I can say about all these people, but obviously just for time, I want to
let's keep it short.
No, I was gonna say for time, and I will keep it short. I will make sure I just hit the bullet points. But I really do love these people. But I'm just gonna hit the bullet points. Aaron is somebody, big fan of his, just from watching him in RHAP. Absolutely hit on the head. Just so positive, so bubbly, just all around really good guy. I just really have enjoyed interacting with him. Aaron is somebody who I think he really has a good shot at doing well in this game. My only concern from Aaron is he is one of the more kind of reserved people in this game. I would say, I think it might come from just being a little nervous, being out of his element, being in this a live game and being in this outdoors environment. So he's definitely expressed that to us, that he's a little concerned. So I'm hoping that Aaron can now that he's out there, I'm hoping he can overcome those nerves and he can really find his footing, because he has a great shot going far in this game. I don't think anyone would vote off Aaron because they just want him around, but I am hoping that Aaron can overcome that flaw in his game I see, and I absolutely hope he proves me wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go really quick. I had to apologize to Aaron today. I never thought Aaron would show up. I've been very vocal about that to these two guys. We cast Aaron. I said, guys, he'll never play. We wanted him. I wanted him. But he had too many reservations. I said, he will never play. Today, when he signed his waiver of liability with me, I did that with all the players. I confessed that to him. I wanted him to hear that from me. I said, I'm so proud of you going through all your diversity and things you've been through, because I never believed you would show up on this site. And here you are, and I'm rooting for you. That's all I'm going to say about it.
We root for everybody, but we really are rooting for Aaron. I'm not even afraid to admit it.
Yeah, Aaron's got a great he's so kind-hearted, and I think people are going to get to know that about him watching him on the feeds. Christen, what do you think about Aaron?
I don't know if I was dumb, but I couldn't find his cast video, so I ended up watching the stream of the cast.
I accidentally had to share it to the Reelfoot page because I accidentally did his on my personal account. So go to my page, everybody, and watch Aaron's video, please.
Okay. Well, I do have an opinion anyway, because I watched the tribes interact just so that I had something to say about him. One thing that I noticed about him is that he was always smiling. He always had a super happy look on his face. And just from looking at him, my impression is if I was on that tribe, I just want to scoop him up and hug him and protect him. And so I think based off of just seeing him smile on the live feeds, because it's literally all I have about him, I think that people are going to want to align with him at least early on. I know nothing about his strategy, but I think that a social game can get you the win. Look at Jumi. I mean, obviously she's strategic too, but because people liked her, I think that was sort of her biggest strength. And I think if Aaron can channel that energy, he can do very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have Carlos up next. Carlos looking tough as nails in this photo. Guys, what's up with Carlos?
Carlos is somebody who, and I might be wrong, but I think I'm right on this. Carlos is somebody who has been applying to Reelfoot since season 4. I believe this is his 3rd time applying. I think Carlos has been cast at least one time, but he couldn't make it last minute due to a family emergency. So this has been a long time coming for Carlos. I'm very happy he applied, and he said this is probably the last time he will be able to apply. Just he's got, with where his career is going, So I'm very happy he applied again for this season. But
Awesome.
honestly, Carlos is definitely one, like Taylor, one of the more well-known people. I don't know if people will recognize him because he is a face in the org community. So I don't know if that's going to put a target on his back. I don't know if that's going to serve him well. But Carlos is just a very nice person. He's a little bit quieter, but I think once people talk to him one-on-one, they realize this is a really nice guy. This is a really cool guy. And Carlos, I don't know if you guys saw his Meet Me video, but he was already talking about who he wants to work with and who he wants to get off. Carlos is a gamer, and I am not surprised at all that he is already thinking about this game as much as he is.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know Carlos personally. Like, I've known him for a while. But like I said, you have to work your way into Reelfoot because, like Parker said, he has applied 3 times.
Yep.
Or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Just because I know somebody doesn't mean they're going to get in. But Carlos is somebody that has been applying and he's been on our radar. He's somebody that really wants this.
Yep.
I think Carlos, he's like me. We both have like the monotone personalities. Our faces don't really change much. And when you're playing a social game, that's not a good trait to have. So I think that's going to be Carlos's only thing, because Carlos is great. He's very charismatic. He's very likable. He's just got to get past that, oh my God, this guy looks like an asshole. I think if he gets with the right people, even if he's not with the right people, I think he's charismatic enough to talk his way out of it. I think Carlos is just somebody that can do well with anybody. So.
Awesome.
Just real quick, I was super excited to meet Carlos, and I got to meet him face to face. And Carlos was one of my earlier hosts when I got into the org world, and so he knows the game, guys. Y'all know he knows the game. He's already working it. Let's just see what happens.
Fantastic. Christen, what do you think of Mr. Carlos?
So I've played with Carlos a lot, and I always align with him. But one thing about Carlos that when I watch his Meet Me video, I did not get this vibe from him at all. But he can be a lot more villainous than he comes off to be. I've seen him fight people. I've seen him like claw his way out of situations. I mean that in the best way possible. Like when he's in trouble, he fights super, super, super hard. And so when I watch his video, he doesn't come across that way. So I think if he faces danger at any point, people are going to underestimate him. And I hope that he's able to fight in a way that doesn't rub people the wrong way, like if he is in trouble. And I'm hoping that his charisma can carry him as far as possible without needing to do that. But I'm really, really rooting for him. And like I said, I'm stunned that like the villainous side of him never like came out in terms of like his Meet Me video. I don't know if it came out in the interviews. Maybe that's something that he's like trying to like hone back a little, but he's a lot fiery than he seems. So I'm really excited to see him.
And up next we have Chris, a district attorney / drummer from Philly. Guys, what's up with Chris? Is he all right? This photo is concerning to me, but is he? What's up with Chris?
I asked that myself. Is he all right? That's a good one. Chris, you can ask both these guys. Chris was definitely one of the people I pushed the hardest for. I don't think I had to really convince them that much, but just he was one of the people I was a huge supporter of. Chris, actually, just like Carlos, has actually been applying to Reelfoot at least 3 or 4 times. It just has not worked out to this point, and I'm super glad it got to work out this time. Chris has never done an org or a live reality game. This is all new to him. He's coming in as a rookie, essentially.
Wow.
And it's hard to take my personal feelings out because I got to message Chris a little bit. I've never met him, but I got to message Chris throughout this, past, few months he's been cast, and I know what this means to him. And now he has a child on the way, so this is really his last chance to really do something like this. And he is passionate about this game. All these people are, but he is a very passionate guy. And I know this will mean a lot to him. I think the word everybody, even the people he's playing with, is used to describe him as quirky. I mean, look at this photo. Chris is a very quirky guy. He is definitely going to try to use his humor to see how he does. And I'm curious to see how he can adapt to being a rookie.
His luxury item is a ukulele, and he doesn't.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So he's going to be fun, and he could easily come out of this. I think like a fan favorite. He's going to be funny, and he's going to be entertaining, and you know that can get you in trouble or it can take you far. All of these characteristics depends on the makeup of the tribe, but he's a funny kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just piggyback off them. Chris is somebody that's been, like Carlos, has been on our radar for a while. Somebody that's always right there, but never quite in the cast. He's very humorous. He's very passionate. But I think his personality, and I hope that people get to see it. He's funny. He's goofy. He's quirky. He's that kind of person that can really like
spin anything and make a joke out of it.
Yeah. And like somebody that's always there to make you laugh, you know. So
yeah, joining the pantheon of quirky Reelfoot icons, I feel like will be Chris for sure. Christen, what do you think of Chris?
I like him because his name's similar to mine. I'm totally kidding. He seems like a very, very strong social player. I think he's going to do well socially. I have a hard time reading him because I don't know how he's going to adapt to the strategy aspect of the game or whether he will need to at all. So hopefully he finds himself in a super strong alliance of people who like trust him, and hopefully he has that sort of cutthroat killer instinct that you sort of need in these games sometimes. But yeah, I have a hard time reading him, but usually when I can't read anybody at all, they end up winning. So maybe he's my new winner pick now. So Chris, you better win.
Chris, you better win. And
if you don't win, I will. I don't want to threaten him.
So up next we have Frank. I'm a little familiar with Frank. I know Frank is a friend of Mr. Dr. Stan. I actually played a sequester with Frank where he wore a Mandalorian mask for almost half of it, and I thought I would never see his face. Guys, talk to me about Frank. I know he's a very intense guy. He's a big fan of Russell Hantz and Russell Hantz's podcasting work. What's going on with Frank? What brings Frank to your doorstep?
Well, you mentioned Dr. Stan. We do want you to know we blindsided Dr. Stan with this because we had convinced him that Frank was not on the cast. And I think Stan was kind of mad about it for a while because we never did let him know. But we did keep the whole cast a secret, not just Frank.
Sure.
But anyway, Frank is going to be that villain. He's intense. He's what am I looking for? Methodical in his thinking. And I think he's going to think about the game so hard. I don't think he'll overthink it, but I know he's here to win. He's just going to be a villain. He will be a villain. There's no way I can see Frank around being a villain, and we'll see what happens.
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they were doing a confessional. We have tribe handlers at each camp. There's two. Yeah. One on each tribe has service. The other one's just filming and going to upload later. So as they're doing confessionals, it just didn't get caught on camera. But Frank was trying to – he took the lid to the cooking pot and was trying to get a stick in the ground so they could put their tribe flag in it. You know, he broke our pot. He shattered our lid for our cooking pot. So they don't have a lid. They have a lid with a huge hole in it for the cooking pot. Yeah, so he's already messed all that up.
Hello?
But anyway – Frank is really cool. Frank's awesome. I really like getting to know him. We have a little bit in common where he's got, a stepson that he's, caring for and cared for since he was little. And I just adopted my nephew. So we kind of bonded over that and we were able to find some common ground on that, taking care of, stepping up and taking care of kids. It's not ours. Frank's just a really good person. He's a very kind-hearted person. In the game of Survivor, I don't think he's going to be so kind-hearted. Like he said, there's no reason for me to babble. He's going to be a villain, and that's all there is to Frank.
Frank was another one that Pete said if we don't cast him, we're going to miss the boat. So I'm glad we didn't miss all the boats and are drowning now. But Frank is somebody who, absolutely what they said. What I'm curious. My thing with Frank is I'm curious and maybe the viewers too, but especially the other players, will they get to see the very kind, compassionate side of Frank, or will it be all business, all game? Because I think that's how Frank can lure you in and get rid of you, because he is so nice and he is a caring person and he's good at like making you feel heard. And I think if he can come across as that way, he'll be able to be very successful in his villain game. But if he comes off as like this is a business, trip, and he's all game and all strategy, I think he's gonna struggle a little bit because people will be intimidated by it, because he is gonna play the game hard. But if that human side of Frank comes out, I think these other players are in for a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Christen, I was gonna say I'd be pissed if someone broke the pod on day one. What about you?
I don't know. I'd probably find it. Yeah, I'd find it funny if I'm being honest. Do you want me to say my thoughts?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So Frank, out of all the people that I haven't met before, after watching all of the videos, he's actually my winner pick out of the people that I've never met before. And it was because when I watched the live stream of all the people interacting, one thing I noticed about him is he watched the people at first, and at first I was like, oh no, that's concerning. He's not really talking much. But then I saw him move to a different part of the circle towards more of like the dominant, bubbly people, and he started talking to them. And so I think he's going to have this like spatial awareness of like the social dynamics of the tribe, which is a super valuable skill, especially early on in the game. And I think he's going to be able to utilize that correctly. And like you guys said, he's super nice. And I think if he can combine that social awareness with his kindness, I think people are going to underestimate him and he's going to cut them. And like I said, out of people I've never met, I have a really, really strong gut feeling about him, and I'm absolutely rooting for him. So,
yes. And up next, we have Jerica, a server from Muskegon, Michigan, right? Am I? Guys, talk to me about Jerica.
Yeah, so Jerica, I think, out of everybody in this cast, has played the most live games. Jerica is definitely a well-known name and face in this community. Yes, there's people who know her here. There's people who know of her. So the question with her is, unfortunately, the more games you play, the less that you can be that new person, because there'll always be new people, but there's also going to be other people who play past games that have probably heard of you. So Jerica comes in with, can she overcome the people know me and know of my game and how I play target? Will she be able to come that? I think she can. Jerica's super bubbly and she's super nice, and I'm very excited she's playing. She's talked about wanting to play Reelfoot for a long time. She just never actually applied. She did this time. I think she's a great addition to this cast, and I'm curious to see if she can take her past seasons or past games she's played and see what she can do here.
Yeah.
For me, Jerica, I love her bubbly personality. I feel like we have a lot of bubbly people, men and women. I don't know if that goes to show what kind of people we like, but
yeah.
But she was just very bubbly, very. I think she's a little nervous about the elements. She was a little hesitant about that. She was very vocal about that. But I think she's doing fine out there.
I would say so.
Because I think that was going to be her biggest hurdle. I don't think her playing the game and being strategic was going to be an issue for her. I think since she's here and she understands what to expect, I think Jerica could do very well.
These hurdles that we're talking about haven't come yet. It hasn't gotten dark. They've been building their camp, but when it gets dark up there tonight, it's going to be dark. And we'll see how they're feeling tomorrow.
Yeah. I think that for Jerica, and this is true about everybody, I think, who plays a lot of games, I think the more you play, sometimes the more comfortable you get with how you play. You think, all right, I got this. I can do this. I can make the merge no problem. And I think that if you get too sort of lackadaisical with how you play the game, you can fall really early. So my hope for Jerica is that she doesn't let all of her past experience and skill hinder her ability to thrive in this game as a new environment. I hope she's given it 100%. I know she will, but I hope that she doesn't get clouded by the past games that she's played. Christen, do you know Jerica? Is she an icon to you as well? And what do you think?
So I've never met her. I've only watched her on live feeds, live streams or whatever. And I do share your sentiment, Naomi, about how you said that the more games you play is sort of like the more comfortable you get. But I've seen Jerica get early boot before, and I imagine when you get an early boot, it does sting, and I feel like it just pushes you to improve your game. And so I'm really rooting for Jerica to take from all the games she's played, whether it's a game that she's played well or a game where she made a ton of mistakes, and I'm hoping that she can adjust her game in that way. I think, like you said, her personality is like super bubbly, but being likable isn't always enough. I think that she also needs to like make a strong alliance, and I think if she can do that, then hopefully she gets super far, because as someone who plays a lot of games, you can be hard on yourself, and I'm rooting for her to do well because I want her to be proud of her game. So
Yeah, she seems really sweet. And someone else who seems really cool, really awesome is Miss
Normally-
Nikki from Chicago, Illinois. Is that, what was that?
Oh, nothing. It'll apply to her too, so we'll just go on to her.
All right.
So Nikki is also somebody that I have been trying to get to play since season 1. I've known Nikki about 10 years. I met her through William Yelton in his game, and we became friends. We've met in Chicago. She was living in Sydney, I think it was somewhere in Australia, for a few years, so she was unable to do Reelfoot. She was back, and she wanted to do it this year, and I was so excited to see her apply. Nikki's also somebody that's super bubbly. And what I was going to say about Jerica as well is usually that's a very good quality to have in Survivor, but I think this cast has so many of those that you get lost in it.
Yeah.
But with Nikki, she's the kind of person who she has every aspect of a player that you need. She has that bubbly, charming personality, almost in a Parvati-esque kind of way, where she can flirt with these guys and make them feel comfortable with herself, or with theirself and her, make them feel like she wants to work with them. She also can work her way in with these girls as well. She's very much a girl's girl as well. So yeah, I think she's super strategic. I've seen her play these online games and dominate, but live games are completely different. So how is she going to come into this game with that? Is she going to come in with that mentality of, oh, I know how to play the game, or is she going to come in with an open mindset? So, but I definitely think that she has the potential. I think I said this when we were doing the cast, that I can actually see her winning, and there's not a lot of people I can see winning.
Yeah.
I can see people going far, but she's somebody that I can actually see winning this game.
Nikki's definitely a strong female in this game, and she has, and just by meeting her and seeing these videos, I think it's easy to see why. She's smart, she's charming, she's a good talker. All those reasons and more, like Amos said, she is a good player for a game like this. I'm hoping that she is able to be aware enough that she is so, outwardly good at all these aspects of the game and is so likable and is going to be a threat in terms of strategy. I'm hoping that she's able to recognize that maybe I need to pull back a little bit. I'm not saying she's necessarily playing hard right now. I'm just saying in the long run, she will be seen as a threat. I think people are going to look to take her out because she does have winner potential. And I'm hoping that she knows enough about herself and her style of game that she can almost like lower her threat level as much as she possibly can. Because if she can do that, I think her biggest hurdle is that she's a threat. And if she can get past that hurdle through however means, she has a lot of potential.
Yeah, out of the people who... Go ahead.
These guys have covered it. I don't need to add more. She's going to be a great character. Great women in this series.
Yes. Out of the people I don't know, Nikki is my winner pick. I think Nikki has all of the elements of a winner, especially a Reelfoot winner. And I think that she could really get in good with a lot of people and find a lot of success. Christen, do you agree? What do you think? I mean, obviously Frank's your winner, but...
So I've watched her play games. I've never played with her. I've watched her, so I am familiar with her style. And I agree with literally every single point from every single person that's spoken so far. And that's super charming. She can win over guys. She can win over girls. But in the last game that I watched her play, she was taken out for like being perceived as being too good. And just like Parker said, that if she does go home, that is definitely, I don't want to say definitely, like knock on wood or whatever, but like that is probably going to be the reason that she is taken out. I think what Nikki needs to do is align with big personalities and strong threats, because when Nikki wants something, she isn't very subtle about it, especially like when the heat of the game is on. And people take note of like that lack of subtlety sometimes, and that is perceived as threatening. But if she's with other people, like someone who we haven't talked about yet, and you probably know I'm talking about, she's with people who are super strong and outspoken, I think that she can sort of hide behind that and she'll do super, super well.
Yeah. And up next, we have Miss Sherry. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say about Miss Sherry, a senior account manager from Cincinnati, Ohio. Guys, how did y'all get Sherry involved here?
Sherry applied. We had no idea who she was.
No.
Her interview was great. She was probably the most charismatic female that we've got. She's somebody that,
and that says a lot with this crew.
She's somebody that I think she's somebody that I actually knew the least amount about, based on the way we had to communicate. Her chat just kept getting lost, and I had to usually do through Parker. So she's actually my biggest wild card this season. I don't have just a huge opinion on her, other than what I got from her interview, which I loved. So I'm really hoping she continues to impress me. So I don't have a whole lot to say about her, but she's definitely my wild card of the season. So I'm super excited to see her play.
It's funny that Amos says wild card, because there's a few people, I haven't mentioned it, but I didn't mention her, but there's a few people we talked about that I don't exactly have an idea of how their trajectory will go in this game. I've got, that's just a few of them. I have a lot of ideas on most of them. Sherry's one of my wild cards. I think Sherry could fall anywhere on the map in this game, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think she has a lot of strengths that make her a really fun personality and a really fun person to watch. She is so excited to be here. They all are, but she is super excited.
Oh yeah.
And she's enjoyed, I know it's only been less than 24 hours, but she's enjoyed every aspect of this game so far. She is taking it head on, and she is somebody that I think her tribe is going to find endearing, but also, again, she is a stronger female, and she is just a strong personality in general, very outspoken, already had opinions on what they did in the store. So, and talked about it back at camp. So I'm very curious to see where Sherry will end up, but she is a great character to have.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Sherry. You know, she's an older cast member. She's coming in with that target. And if you come in older and bossy, I mean, that's just going to get you in trouble way too quick. So I've not been in camp to see any of their interactions. I've not had time to watch anything. But my interaction, just watching her here this afternoon, is I'm thinking, ooh, I hope she's not too bossy, because she kind of wants to tell what to do. And I've been there. I've done that too. So I just hope she can tone that down.
She, I will say, so far she's impressed me. I think out of everybody here, everybody's here for the experience. Everybody enjoys it. I think she's the one person I've noticed that she's really soaking every single moment of it in. You can tell she's enjoying every moment. She's relishing in this whole experience, and that's something that I love to see. I love to see that passion. So I'm hoping that she continues to do that.
All right, Christen, what do you think of Sherry?
Yeah, no, when I was watching all of the pre-game videos, I think at least one or two people mentioned that based off of the first impressions, they really liked Sherry. So at the very least, I think that she's left a pretty good first impression in terms of like the charm and the likability. But I do share the sentiment in that maybe she could be a little bossy. She could turn out to be like Tess, who she is super charming, but she gets bossy and she gets voted out first. And I'm hoping that that's not the case. But based off of the first impressions that people have said and that they like Sherry, I could see her finding her way into a solid alliance. I think the question is, how is she going to handle things strategically? Because I have no clue what kind of strategic game she's here to play. I don't know if she's here to be a villain. I don't know if she's here to be like loyal to an alliance, but I'm intrigued to see how she plays. And I am super excited. And
I will say, sorry, I didn't mean to. I will say very quickly again, I think y'all noticed that we have a lot of fresh faces this season, which makes me very excited. We're very happy about that. We love to get fresh faces, introduce them to this community. And I think of the people that are playing for the first time, I'm more confident in Sherry than I am with most people that she will pick up the pace of the game. So I'm hoping I'm right.
Yeah, that rules. And I love fresh faces. You know, Chris and I at Survivor New York, I think fresh faces are really important to a game because it allows for so much more fun and so much more of, like we were talking about with Sherry, you want the experience. You don't just want to play to win because, you know, this is your life. You want to actually have a fun time playing Reelfoot. And that's what I love about new people. So we have Skylar, a pre-K teacher, college student from Phoenix, Arizona. So this heat will be nothing to Skylar. Guys, tell me about Miss Skylar.
She she has said the humidity is a lot worse, so it feels a lot hotter than it does up there. Skylar's one of those people that as soon as we hung up, Pete wasn't on her interview. We called him. It was like, Pete, you've got to meet her. You've got to meet this girl. She's amazing. She's super sweet and likable. She's a new face. Like, she's somebody that we feel like you need to meet. So we did, and you know, felt the same. I'll let him speak on that later. But she, her biggest thing, I think, is going to be. She did want to initiate a girls' alliance in her interview. This is all based on her interview. She wanted to do a girlfriend. Well, unfortunately, she's on a tribe with Sherry, who wants to work with men. Yes. So her thing is she's going to have to figure that out before she approaches Sherry and be like, hey, I want to work with the women. And, you know, so, and who knows, Sherry might get out here and want to work with the women. She might hate all the guys. I don't know. But Skylar is definitely somebody I think can get in good with people because she's likable. But I have noticed, at least at the store, because like I said, I haven't been out there much. She got a little bossy there for a minute, so she could. And with her being a pre-K teacher and constantly, no, we can't get that out of your mouth. You know, I could see her maybe doing that with some people, like I did at the store, and she's gonna have to definitely tone that down.
I think Skylar could go deep. I'm going to call her as a deep, one of the deeper females. She's. I got to meet her yesterday, and. She just impressed me. I don't know. I know we've said this about so many people. I feel like we're just saying the same thing, and I apologize. We have a great cast, but Skylar's going to be my deep pick, and maybe I might even go far enough to say final two.
Ooh,
of
final
all
two.
Of the people in this cast, what was that?
I was just saying, ooh, final two. Pete calling a shot.
Oh yeah, I could see it. I don't disagree with that take.
I don't know if Alex is still watching, but I'll say she's my final four pick.
That's the final four pick. Sorry, it cut out there. So of all the people in this cast, Skylar by far knows the least about CBS Survivor. Okay. Now, unlike other people who have played this game, Skylar did her homework. Some people have tried playing Reelfoot with absolutely no knowledge. They didn't watch a single season or episode. Sometimes that works, Bobby. But in other times it doesn't. But she did do her homework. She has watched a few seasons, so she is not completely unaware of what to do. I am hoping that likable. I know we keep saying this about people. This just describes so many of these people. She is just bubbly. She is nice, and I think a really good thing for Skylar is I think people are going to underestimate her for that reason. I haven't been in the camps. I don't know if she's being honest about her lack of knowledge, but to me, I can see a lot of the people on her tribe wanting to work with her for that reason. I think they'll underestimate her, and I think that's going to be their downfall because she does want to play this game. She may not know as much as everybody else should, but she wants it. She was somebody from her interview. I was like, I absolutely want to cast her. I just don't know how into the game she'll be, if she'll be more for the experience than the game itself. But just this first day, especially, she has impressed me. She is here to play.
Let me go on record to say that all these people that we're calling bubbly, they're not going to stay bubbly for long.
No,
they're going to get hangry.
Let's just throw that out there. They're not all going to stay bubbly.
Yes, and just because we're short on time, I want to jump right onto Todd, who, guys, Todd found an idol. Like, literally, before we got on this call, he found an idol. Like, what the absolute hell? So, guys, talk to me about the retired military man from Shreveport, Louisiana, Mr. Todd.
I want to say, obviously, don't have a timer on me. Don't know the exact time. He's rivaling Anessa for fastest idol find ever. But I will say no one has ever found an idol on day one. Todd, that says a lot about what I'm going to say about Todd. I'll cut to the chase. I think Todd is somebody who will either, I'm going to say he's either making it to Final 5 or he'll be one of the first 3 people out. And I say this because Todd is so good at being social and being a leader. He has all these great traits, but he can also be very intimidating. He's the biggest guy out here. He's obviously a physical competitor, and I can see people either, I think his trajectory will go one of 2 ways. I think people will either want to use Todd as a shield, and that will mean that he can go far that way and he can win some challenges. Or I think people are going to say, you know what, this guy is going to go far. If we need to get rid of him out of the gate so he doesn't get his footing. I think that'll be Todd's 2 trajectories. But Todd is a great character. I'm super excited for him to be here, and I'm curious to see what he'll do.
Todd is another one that I said if we didn't cast him, we'd miss the boat. He is my winner pick.
We didn't even have to interview him. He interviewed himself. He ran the whole interview. We didn't even have to ask him any questions. We asked him one question, and he just went on for like an hour.
We've described a lot of these people as being able to work the room. Todd literally works the room, okay, more than any of these other people.
He's in an alliance right now. Winner pick.
Wow. Amazing. Christen, what do you think?
Good.
What do you think of Todd, Christen?
So I share the same sentiments. I did get to watch like 1 or 2 confessionals before this began because I was bored, and I watched Carlos's confessional, and apparently he saw Todd go off to look for the idol, which is something that is super, super interesting. He doesn't know if he found it, but he did at least take a note that he went to go look for the idol. So that could play a factor into it. But also, I do think people are going to want to use him as a shield. I think people are going to want to be close to him to sort of like have that as their protection for a while. But I really think he's going to struggle at the end game unless he just like is super, super dominating with like challenges or idol finds or something, because I think he is a very, very visible threat. And all these people really love the game, and I'm not going to underestimate their desire to want to win. And if I was in that game and I wanted to win, I would vote out Todd eventually. And so I do see him being a victim of that. But I think if he can survive for long enough to the point to where the game has so much chaos that maybe he isn't voted out or someone else makes themselves a bigger threat, I could see him winning. If he gets to the end, I don't think he's not going to win the jury vote unless he just like absolutely rubs everybody the wrong way. So I'm really excited to see him play, and it's so interesting that he found an idol so fast. He really, really wants to win. So
and when I think of Todd, when I think of Todd, and almost to an extent Ronnie as well, it reminds me a little bit of Bill for my season. The competitiveness, the just like, I can't lose, I have to play hard sort of vibe. And I do really like that. I don't think everybody gets along with it, but I think that it's an interesting element to personality where you know that that person is always going to want to win. So you can always take care of them down the line because they're going to be a threat later on, right? They're never going to want to stop winning. And so everybody will at some point want to vote them out. Todd, I cannot wait to see what happens and how people feel, especially maybe after a day of spending time with Todd. So guys, let me just ask you, what are they just going to bed tonight? The sun is setting. They're setting up camp, everything, see you later. We're going to bed.
They got it. I don't know if y'all saw the videos. They did get a tree mail before we started. That's actually, we just got back from doing that when we started this. So they do have a tree mail that the challenge was explained to them on how to do it, which is a signal seen from above, a SOS type challenge. So they're instructed on what they can use, where it needs to be, all that good stuff. So they got tonight and tomorrow in the morning, the guy's coming out. Pete's got somebody coming out with a drone. They're going to film it. We actually have Kobe Archer, who won this challenge in his season, is actually going to be our judge. So we're going to send him that video, and he's going to judge. He knows what an SOS signal is supposed to look like. So we're super excited about this challenge. It was actually something we've worked really hard on and been trying to make sure it happened, and it did, and we're really excited about it.
Thank you, Pete, for the drone.
Yeah. So, what time should people expect to tune in tomorrow to see Kobe on the live feeds and say hi to him?
it's going to be, I don't know if he'll be on the live feeds. I'm going to see if he'll record a little something and send it to us or let us call him, whatever. But the guy's going to be here. We're going to start at about 7.
Yeah.
What?
I told him to be here at 8:30.
You told him to be here at 8:30?
Uh-huh.
Oh, 8:30.
And it's Father's Day. He's already not excited about it.
I thought we were doing it at 7. Okay,
Oh, my
well,
Lord. Hope he's not watching.
This is what it's like to put on a game like this.
Yep.
If
Oh
anyone
yeah,
was
I
wondering.
know.
hey, if that's the only boo-boo we've made, then we're doing good. But yeah, so about 8:30, you guys are going to come out, fly over both signals. We'll send it to Kobe. He's going to, they're being judged on visibility, creativity, all that good stuff. So he's going to tell us who he thinks made the best thing. I will say the Carlton tribe does have an advantage because of their tribe color.
Yes.
So I will say the Rutherford tribe needs to be pretty creative with their signal, because the Carlton tribe's already going to be easily seen because of the red. So
It's a good point. So, Christen, any final thoughts? Are you who are you most excited to watching on the feeds?
Anybody who I said is a wild card. I want to see Sherry. I want to see Todd. I want to see Frank. And also I want to see the people that I know before that haven't done live games, and I want to see how they transition from the org to the live setting. I'm excited to see everybody. I don't want to leave people out. I'm just so excited to watch this game, watch it play out. I love this game so much. So
awesome.
We talked about that earlier. I was telling them, whether it's the first person out, no matter who gets voted out, whether it's the first person out or the final jury member, it's gonna be heartbreaking to see any of these people voted out, because they're so passionate and we've worked so hard to get them here, and it's just we love this cast.
They all really want it. Very passionate.
Well, guys, say hello to all of the rest of the members of production for us. We hope that it is a fun, safe, no injuries event, and that you guys all have a really great time making it happen. We can't wait to tune in the feeds. And happy Father's Day to some of y'all. And thank you for being here. Hi, Brent. We're glad that you were chiming in with us. And thank you to everyone who watched. Make sure to go to Surviving Reelfoot's Facebook page to get all of the updates. And I'm sure Army Adam will be posting his daily updates as well. But tune in, stay connected, and we'll be talking about it at Live Reality Games as well. So thank you guys. Have a great rest of your night.